Eric Trump joins us now live on his first impression because the the Trump team really wasn't out yesterday in the spin room. I guess they wanted to let the Biden performance speak for itself. Eric, your thoughts about a debate like no other?
Yeah. Well, Brian, I think you're right. I'm not sure if I've ever seen, the Democratic media kill a candidate, one of their own, like they did last night. It was kind of remarkable. I've been sitting on the couch with you guys for, a decade now, over a decade now, and I have never seen a time where the mainstream media didn't provide air cover for one of their own. And if you looked at CNN last night, they were absolutely killing him. But you know what, guys, it's the exact reason that they've spent the last 3 years indicting my father. That performance last night. They knew they needed anything. They needed to pull the rabbit out of the hat. They needed every advantage that they could possibly get, right? So they went after him in Georgia, and they went after him in New York. They've gone after him civilly. They've gone after him criminally. They've gone after his family. They've tried to take him down in every way, shape, or form because they know that the guy that they have out there. And, a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? He lost the debate before he said his first word just based on how he entered that stage. He looked old. He looked frail. He could hardly move. He was mumbling as he came on stage. And listen, my father did what he did best. I mean, he spoke to the American people, and he did a hell of a job. And I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of him. He nailed it last night. He did a great job.
Eric, I saw some video on social media, social media, let's call it, and on Instagram, and it was your dad walking into the room backstage, and all of his supporters that I guess had helped him or worked for him, they all started clapping, and he just, did the fist in the air. What did he say about Biden's performance and how he thought he did last night?
Well, I spoke to him about 30 seconds after he got off the stage, and probably the first phone call he took, and he was elated. And it's amazing, guys. If you remember, Biden spent 10 days at Camp David prepping for this, right? I mean, I don't know. I was in college a long time ago, and anytime I'd spend 10 days cramming for a test, I'd usually do pretty well on it, right? He spent 10 days having people feed him questions, and that was the performance. And my father's been out there campaigning every day, putting his heart and soul into this race, as I do, and Don does, and our entire family does. My father gets out on that stage, speaks from the heart, and obviously, it transfers over. This country misses Donald Trump. This country misses his policy. This country misses his toughness. Our country misses the standing that we used to have on the world stage, and we don't. We're laughed at, guys. I just came back from overseas. I'm telling you, everybody is laughing at American leadership, and it's so sad. We've got the greatest country in the world. We have the greatest nation. We've got the greatest flag. We've got the greatest freedoms. We've got the greatest capitalism and ability to make money and develop products. I mean, and we're losing our standing because of the nonsense. And it's remarkable. You see the lies on the stage last night over and over and over. And this country wants him back desperately. And I think last night was an amazing night. Again, I caveat that with just make no mistake, they have something up their sleeve, because there's no way the entire Democratic Party would have killed Biden the way that they did last night if they didn't have a plan in store.
So let's talk about that, Eric. Typically, what we've seen from the Democrats, especially in the press, is that they conceal Biden. They don't attack him. That's part of the problem why we got this problem right now is because they've been protecting him the whole time. Well, last night, as you noted, they went after him. And it wasn't just people in the media. It was people that used to work for him. Watch.
This was a game-changing debate in the sense that right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party.
There are going to be discussions about whether he should continue.
There is no two ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now.
I don't think we should sugarcoat this. This was not the debate performance that the Biden campaign team wanted or needed from this debate.
I understand not feeling well. And, obviously, Joe Biden comes in with certain deficits. He has a stutter. That said, I, too, was on the phone throughout much of the debate with Obama world people, with Democrats. My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic.
This was a very bad night for Joe Biden. You are starting to see here, at least privately, discussions among Democrats about whether or not Biden can effectively go on with this campaign.
So, Eric, I guess my question is, how do y'all keep the momentum after that?
Well, Lawrence, you guys might have even missed the best one, which was Kamala Harris coming out and saying that her, that her running mate was absolutely horrible. That he had a bad start, and I thought that was interesting. Now, the mainstream media had to do that, right? Because the mainstream media has been covering for them so viciously, and right? I mean, they really are the propaganda wing, of the DNC. But if they didn't do that after as many Americans watched that last night, they would have been gone. They would have been out of business. I mean, CNN has the worst ratings it's ever had right now because people see Biden for who he is, and they've covered for him every single day. So I really think they had to do that out of self-preservation, guys. But listen, my father's going to go out there. He's going to keep going to Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Arizona and Florida and North Carolina and all the swing states. And we as a family are going to work tirelessly. We love this country. My father said something that was really profound last night. He goes, if you were doing a great job, I would have never run. Honestly, I don't need this job. I need this job like a hole in the head. I could have lived a much better life in Mar-a-Lago, flying around on beautiful planes and, enjoying retirement. I didn't need to do that. The reason I did it is because you are atrocious and you're driving our country into the ground. I would have loved to see you succeed. And, I give my father immense credit, guys. He does not need to be doing this. He's getting shot at every single day. By every single person. He wants to see this country great. He wants to save this country. He wants to see our nation succeed. He wants to fix this union, and he wants respect for America again. And I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him every time he walks on that stage. I'm proud of him every time he has one of these 20-hour work days, every time he shows up at a rally in, the Bronx with 15,000 people, or he shows up in New Jersey with 110,000 people. He makes me proud each and every day, and he made me proud last night.
Great. Steve?
And thank you very much, Brian. Eric, your father was, there's no debate. Your father won the debate by 100 miles. It's just clear. He was calm, which there was some people worried about him going in. Is he going to be calm? He was calm. He was in control. He had a great performance. And essentially, Joe Biden, his performance has vindicated a lot of left-leaning pundits and pollsters who said over the last couple of months, he's lost a step, he should get out, and never did. My question to you is, I know Joe Biden is your father's opponent, but yesterday when you were watching the train wreck that was that debate, at some point you had to say to yourself, I just feel sorry for that guy. Forget, he shouldn't be president if that's the guy. But as a person, it's like, oh, that's just so sad.
Listen, there's no question about it. In fact, it was so sad that I had a New York, Times columnist in tears. You saw that. Why didn't the Democratic Party do something about this a long time ago? Why didn't his wife do something about it? I mean, the real victim in this whole thing isn't actually Joe Biden. Well, maybe it's Joe Biden as well, but the real victim is actually the American people, right, who just have horrible leadership. I mean, literally nothing's been done on the world stage in the last 10 days because the guy's been, trying to polish up lines to cover awful policy that he's had for a very long time. Who's running this government? My father worked tirelessly. He worked 7 days a week, unthinkable hours to run our country. This is a real job. And who's running our country right now? And you've got real animals around the world. And, you've got people who want the worst for America. You've got countries that want to take over our way of life and want to be the #1 superpower. They're coming after us. I mean, make no mistake about it. And this is who we're entrusting to kind of fend them off and make sure that America remains #1. No way. That's why people want to fight her. That's why people want a cheerleader back. And that's Donald Trump. And you saw the fight last night, and you saw the love, and you saw the passion, and frankly, you saw the competence.
Right, Eric, and thank you for giving us an insight into the Trump camp, because you have not heard a lot of it, because I think obviously they want to let Joe Biden have this news cycle, and he'll be in Virginia today with Governor Youngkin. Thanks so much, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.